The inflation number for April came out, and even though we have been seeing a decline in inflation, many signs are pointing that the Bank of Canada may make a decision to lower the rate and the announcement in June. Now, this will not be one of those videos that discusses how rates will drop or not drop. I don't know what that's going to look like as we go through June and July. We're going to take a different approach when it comes to this video. And I've ran back the data going back to January 2021 and broke down what those costs will look like across the board as prices change and the rates change. And important to note, if you don't love data, maybe skip the portion of the video where we go through all different segments and just kind of see some of the examples of where things could be in the future based on different price points and those interest rates. I'm Michael Ouzas. I'm a realtor here in Toronto. And if you've been watching this channel, you'll know that condos have been performing very differently than the freehold market here in the city of Toronto. If you ever want to discuss how that looks for you and your situation, click on that first link in the description down below. There's been countless posts on social media in the last week about how the inflation number for April came in at 2.7, which is trending downwards closer to where that Bank of Canada's target is at 2%. And here's an example of one of those articles that says that inflation data all clear for Bank of Canada interest rate cut in June, economists say. Now, we won't be going through this article in particular, but I just want to show an example of what we've been seeing all over social media. But more importantly, what would that look like when it comes to real estate prices? So I went through in this very basic Excel spreadsheet and broke down where things were in January of 2021 all the way into April of 2024, because that's the last data that we have, as the main numbers should be out in about a week or so. And if you don't love data like I do, fast forward this video to get to the later examples that show what prices may do if rates go down and what that would look like cost-wise. We have a few numbers in this data, and the first one is which month it is, of course, then months of inventory. And if you've been watching this channel, as I always mention, months of inventory is typically our leading indicator of where we will see prices go along the way. Interest rates back in the start of 2021, we all know what was going on in the world at that time. And when it comes to interest rates, I just went to the Bank of Canada website and picked out what the prime rate was out. Now, I do understand that if you are looking to get a mortgage, typically it'll be the prime rate minus a certain decimal point. But for this video, for argument's sake, to keep things consistent, just went through and picked exactly what the posted prime rate was, which at the current time right now is 7.2. And back in January of 2021 was 2.45 on the prime rate. Coming back to this chart, we also have the average price of a property in the Greater Toronto area. The down payment required at 20%. And the reason I picked 20% because really only for January 2021 was under $1 million. The rest have all been over $1 million, which automatically will click in that 20%. The mortgage remaining, so if you do put 20% down, how much is remaining on that mortgage? Went over to RateHub and just put in a 25-year amortization with a 20% down payment and used the number that it gave me from that mortgage calculator. So this is something you could do on your own anytime on any of those mortgage calculators online. And the last row here is the difference in payment from where things are at today. So we'll be able to see exactly the difference from an interest rate standpoint of what that monthly cost looks like every single month. Now, we're not going to go through every single row because that is a lot of data. And if you did want access to this spreadsheet, let me know in the comments down below, and maybe it's something I can add to the description in the future. Looking back at January 2021, months of inventory were very tight. And as we mentioned, as the months of inventory got lower in March 2021 down to 0.68, we saw prices grow from just under 970,000, which your down payment was 193,000. Your monthly payment with 2.45% interest rate, just under $3,450, which is about $3,144 difference from today. Now, the biggest thing here that stands out is, of course, the interest rate was significantly lower than now, but prices definitely jumped from that 967 all the way up to 1.1 million in May. So about $150,000 difference. Now, with that $150,000 difference in payment, the down payment went up $30,000. So the difference between buying in January 2021 versus May 2021 was a $30,000 down payment, which we would need to come up with on closing. As the rates stayed the same, that monthly payment went up by about $400 per month. As we went through through 2021, the rate stayed the same, but going into 2022, we started seeing increments of the rate. Now, the peak of 2022 was in February, where the purchase price was $1.334 million. The interest rate was still the same as January 2021. The biggest difference is the down payment at that time went up by about $70,000, which is a very significant jump in down payment. Mortgage remaining was over $1 million at that point, and your monthly payment was about $1,200 difference because now the purchase price is up, the down payment is up, and the mortgage remaining is up. Next up, we saw prices come down at the end of December 2022 to basically in line with where things were in February of 2021. The biggest difference though is the interest rate went from 2.45 to 6.45, up 4%, which is a very big jump when it comes to interest rates. Now, the down payment would be about the same as where things were in February of 2021, which is about $210,000 on a $1,050,000 purchase price. However, the mortgage payment was up by almost $3,000, so quite a big jump in your monthly payment. And as the year went along in 2023, we saw 2 more rate increases in June and July, which brought things up to 7.2 on the prime interest rate. Once we saw those 2.25 rate increases, we saw prices drop back in line with $1,080,000. And with that $1,080,000, your down payment around $216,000, and the monthly payment just under $6,500, which is about $122 off of where things are at today. If you watch any of my recent videos for the market updates, you've been seeing prices in and around that $1.1 million mark. Before we get into a couple examples, let's talk about April 2024. 7.2 on the interest rate. Average sale price for the Greater Toronto area, just over $1.15 million. Your down payment at $230,000. Mortgage remaining just around $925,000, and your monthly payment at $6,600 per month. So let's make a quick example comparison on where things are at in April 2024, and if the rate does come down and prices do go up, what does that look like on a monthly cost, and what does it look like from the down payment perspective? I don't know if we'll hit these numbers this year given the amount of inventory that's currently on the market. I made 3 examples to really break down what this could like if prices did increase and the rates did come down. If in June we did see a 0.25 rate decrease from the Bank of Canada, and we always have to keep in mind that the Bank of Canada announcements particularly flow with the variable interest rate. So if rates go from 7.2 to 6.95, and of course there could be a minus off of that, but at 6.95, even if prices go up by $20,000 to 1.175, the extra down payment required would be $4,000. The mortgage remaining would be $940,000, and the payment would go down by about $40 a month. If the rate went down to 6.7% and the price went up to $1.2 million, now you'd go up from $231,000 as a down payment to $240,000. So basically every $50,000, you will need $10,000 more as a down payment. The monthly mortgage payment would be about $50 less than where things are at today. And this is where things really change looking at these examples. If the pricing went up to $1.225 million, which I don't know if we'll get there this year based on the amount of inventory on the market. However, if the rates do drop down to 6.45, which is almost a full percent lower than where they're at, now you'd be looking at an extra $15,000 that you need to save for the down payment, and the monthly payment would actually be more than where things are at today. So you're looking at about $80 more as the prices go up if the rates do come down, which is another important consideration. Hopefully this breakdown really shows that if prices do go up because rates come down, the down payment required will be significantly higher as we trend along. And for most people, that difference in down payment, if it goes up by $10,000 or $20,000 because the prices are going up, may offset the savings that they'll be getting to save that $50 to $100 a month on the interest rate portion by a considerable amount. That's a big difference if you need that extra $10,000 today versus that $50 a month over time on the payment. Definitely an important consideration there. The other factor is that prices aren't exactly getting much cheaper. cheaper. And Toronto real estate right now is at the most expensive level it's ever been on a month-to-month carrying cost basis. That is the number that most people feel every single month, because that mortgage payment is due once a month, twice a month, or however many times. So that's where Torontonians will feel it the most in their pockets, is that the monthly payment will continue to come out as the years go along, especially on a 25-year amortization. The last piece of the consideration is what will happen if more buyers come to market because they've been waiting for these rates to decrease, thinking that it will be cheaper for them to purchase. Well, it'll bring about more competition in the market. And if more competition comes to the market, that potentially could drive prices a little bit higher. I don't think we'll see a huge jump this year in pricing from where we're at least today, because we have been seeing a lot more inventory coming in April and May. But in the freehold market side, we have been seeing multiple offers continue on properties throughout the Greater Toronto area, and condos have not been moving nearly as fast as freehold properties. Condos could be that consideration for someone looking to get from the rental market to a purchase if it makes sense for them in their given situation. With all that data, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think if the Bank of Canada will make adjustments in June or July of this year. And are you surprised by the monthly cost difference from the rate dropping but the pricing going up? Drop a comment down below. I'm Michael Ouzas. Thanks for watching.